Caitlin here, aka Scribble Sketch, and welcome to Card Game Wednesday, the day of the week where we enjoy all things card game related. And today we are back with another little top 5 list, as you were with Force of Will. I like to do these like in between the times, usually during sets and whatnot, and also gives us the time to reflect back on the set that just came out and some of my opinions and thoughts on cards now that I've gotten to enjoy them a little bit more and to like properly read over them and stuff like that. So this one is going to be my top 5 favourite cards from Winds of the Omnis Moon, since that's been the last part of Rhea Cluster, and it's still a pretty relevant set at the current time until we get diving into Valhalla spoilers and everything like that. So, usually I do like a criteria where I pick a card from every colour to try and not repeat things, but when I was looking back at the actual full set for Winds of the Omnis Moon, I was looking at it and I was thinking, wow, I really don't care at all for any of the blue cards. I really don't like any of them. Which is probably because mainly they are one, either to do with Kaguya, who I don't care for very particularly because obviously my whole gripe with the buy a box issue and everything like that. And I didn't really like too much of the Shayla support that was released either, and there was also barely any Ayu support, and I didn't really think much of that. So there's no blue cards on this list, and so I've doubled up on maybe some of the colours and everything, which, is going to happen if I've not included one of each colour. So my apologies for that, guys, if you were hoping to see some blue cards in this, but I feel like blue just wasn't very good this time around, or I just didn't feel like a really good, strong connection to any of the blue cards. You'll probably maybe see a small bit of a running theme in some of the cards that I picked, but for the most part, these are ones that, one, I particularly wanted to get because I wanted to play with them, or two, I like the flavour, text, or the lore behind it, or the artwork, or anything to do with that. So starting off here, guys, my number one pick right here, I've not really listed these in order of like from favourite to least favourite. These are mainly just like my joined together top fave just in a bunch. So nothing is really number one. If anything, I think they're all number one in my eyes, but I'm going to start off at the beginning here. And the first one I've picked is Ataratica, the City of Verdant Green. It is an addition. It's 2 cost. It's 1 fire and 1 wind. You tap it to produce either fire or wind, and if you spend this well to play a Resonator, it gains swiftness as it enters the fields until end of turn. I really like this because it gives us like a little bit of an answer as to what happened basically to some of the Ataraticans after the whole timeline fix and everything like that. So from what we can see, Ataratica is now part of Re-Earth. It is basically like its own little kingdom or its own little city, and those of the Wanderers who basically were not trapped within or weren't taking refuge within the Earth were basically reborn on this new version of the planet, because it looks like here we've got like basically all of the people who were royally screwed over, because we've got Machina, we've got Maria Bella, Shion and Valentina, we seem to have Melgus, and I think that's Rezard as well, or it might be male Lancelot, and I believe at the very top it's meant to be Arla and Faria. So just from like a flavor text and lore, I really like this card in particular. The artwork is also really amazing. The artwork is super nice, even though like you don't get a lot of close-ups of too many of the characters. You mainly see Machina and Mariabella at the forefront here, but you can like if you play like spots like Where's Who or whatever, I think it's really nice. The colors are really good. It's really showing off the verdant green, as it's called, even if it's like Ataratica itself. But I really like it in particular just for the flavor text and for the ability, because the ability is actually really nice as well. Mainly that and the artwork and everything, it just really seals it together. And this will probably be the last time we ever see any characters from Ataratica again. I doubt there'll be any going forward into New Valhalla. I'll be very surprised if even they get a mention or like an appearance. It feels like now that we're going into Valhalla, probably the only reference to other characters that we'll get, I think, will maybe be Feasting and Kaguya, but I don't even think that they'll maybe even be proper resonators or characters. I mean, they might get a mention or whatever, but I don't know if they will properly appear in the story. So I'm not too sure there, but that's why I like this one, and it is my first pick. Next up here, we have a bit of darkness. We have Time Reversal, a 1-drop darkness SR chant. You draw a card and put a mystery counter on your J-Ruler, and if you awaken it, you can remove 3 mystery counters from your J-Ruler, and at the next end of turn, recover all entities you control. When I initially saw this card, I wasn't too impressed by it, but actually thinking about it now, this is actually a pretty good card, in particular for Rhea. Rhea obviously is a darkness. Darkness doesn't get a whole lot of draw power. That's mainly down to wind and mostly blue. Blue gets a lot of draw and green gets a lot of draw. So trying to get some draw power in your darkness deck is, usually a bit of a fight because you're not really drawing much outside of your draw phase. But I like this because obviously you get to draw a card and get a mystery counter because Rhea is all about the mystery counters and everything. Plus the Awakening is actually a pretty decent trade-off because you're already gaining one mystery counter by playing the card. So by Awakening it, you really are only removing 2 mystery counters. So you're still getting a bit of a bonus, and recovering all entities you control is also a very nice touch. So you could easily like maybe play this before the end of your turn, like maybe after you've swung with everything in that, and you could basically just like recover everything that you control. Obviously it's not quick cast, so you want to do it before you actually end your turn, but that's a pretty simple thing to remember because we don't have the lightning effect on the cost there, so it's pretty easy to remember, hey, this card's not quick cast, I should probably play this before the end of my turn so that I can actually cast it. And also, the artwork is pretty nice. I was a bit iffy at the beginning because I was like, what is happening with Rhea's face? But I've kind of warmed up to the artwork now. It is very pretty. The angle is kind of weird, just the way that she's kind of like floating / bending over in the air. But I still like this card. I think it's really good, and it's probably a defo if you're playing Rhea at all. Next up, I'm going to have a Wind Aura here, a chant. We've got Whirling Winds. It's a 1-cost green, quick cast obviously, and it's an aura, so it's very, very nice. You choose one, you draw a card. See, here's some of that green draw power I was talking about. Or remove target attacking J/Resonator from battle. I really like this. I think this is one of my favourite auras. One of the other auras that I really liked was obviously the one that gives swiftness. But if I might even do like a list where I do like my top 5 favourite auras, because there are a lot of auras that came out. But I think this one is probably one of my favourites, so that might be seen there at the top of the list. I do like it quite a lot. The artwork is definitely a little strange because I'm not quite sure what Beast Thing in particular is doing here. I've no idea what Tama is doing off to the side. It looks like either Tama is just being swept up by the wind or like maybe trying to climb Feasting's staff or grab Feasting's hat. It looks like Tama's trying to grab the hat there and make sure it's not flying off there. But I actually quite like it. I think it's a decent aura. Definitely one to play if you are playing Feasting. And I quite like it a lot. The ability to choose to either remove an attacking J/Resonator, because I feel like not a lot of things really stop J/Resonator, or J rulers in particular, from attacking now. I feel like we're going to lose a lot of basically J ruler hate once Lapis Cluster rotates out. And I feel like maybe in Rhea Cluster alone, there's not too many options with dealing with them. Mainly your options are stuck to a specific colour. I think mainly like from stuff like Inverse Grim, where he flips over and destroys something or whatever. But I quite like this card. I think this is a good answer for like a quick little cheap cost thing here to deal with J/rulers. Oh no, so it's a draw card because green needs more draw. As if green needed any more draw, but we're not going to argue about how broken Wind is at the moment. Next up, I have Burnt Cooking. Now, you were probably thinking I would pick Sylvia, the Resonator, for like my favourite fire card in general. I mean, I also mainly picked this one because Sylvia is featured in the artwork. I wanted to pick the Sylvia Resonator, but at the same time, I was like, I love her so much, but I feel like her ability isn't that good compared to like this card right here. This one is a quick cast fire chant. It's only 1 fire. Target J/Resonator gains plus 400, minus 400 until end of turn. If it's a Dragonoid, it gains plus 400, 400 instead, and you put 3 strength counters on your J ruler. I am really planning on maybe making a Carrick deck sometime soon. I want to make it some kind of Carrick deck that focuses on using a lot of Sylvia in particular. Probably this card, so I will probably be playing this card as a playset or something like that, because I want to make use of this card in particular. And I also want to try and get a playset of full arts of this because I love the artwork of this. It is very cute. It is very nice, and obviously the flavor text of it is really good. I like it a lot because it also implies like what happens to Sylvia and the new timeline and whatnot. I really do need to make a video at some point where I talk about the new timeline and basically the history of it. But I quite like it because it implies, Pael won Sylvia at a tournament or whatever, and now she's going to teach her how to cook. And by looks of it, her cooking's not going too well at the moment, but maybe someday soon she will become the greatest cook that Mount Hoel has ever known. And it looks like Sylvia gets a happy ending. So that's probably my reasons why I like this card so much. And then finally, 4 cards that I absolutely love were my top 5 for Wednesday of this Moon. Last of all, it has to be the second advent of Hope, Grimea. I was like freaking out when I saw this card when it first got spoiled, and I was like, I need a playset of this. I need this card in my life. I love it so much. I can't wait to build a deck around it. It's going to be amazing. She, I'm not quite sure what you would call him because I say him because when I think of Grimea, I think of a male, but I guess you could maybe say because it's a fusion between Lumia and Grimea, the gender doesn't really matter. You could probably call him either or, but I usually use him because it's like, I feel like I recognize Grimea as a guy, but each to their own. Grimia is a 5 cost Resonator, 2 Light and 3 Void, a 1200 Fairy Tale slash Avatar. Avatar hasn't really been a relevant thing for a while, so I'm not quite sure why he becomes an avatar. If your life is 2,000 or less, you may pay 3 less to play this card, so pay him for 2 light, which is pretty awesome. And you remove an aura in your graveyard from the game. This card gains Flying, Drain, and Barrier until end of turn. So probably you won't be playing him in a deck with Feasting, because I feel like Feasting takes priority in taking the auras for her ability and whatnot, so you probably won't play him in a Feasting deck. But I really like him and his different abilities, plus the chance to like play him when your life is really low for cheaper is actually really nice. I like that. Also, the artwork is just glorious. I've got a full art of this, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. Just the design, the fur cape, the is it heterochromic eyes when they've got different color eyes? The kind of glimpse of like the blonde going into the black at the crown there. The sword. It's just this card is just gorgeous. I love it so much. I can't wait to play a deck with it and whatnot. I'm still kind of like narrowing down my list because I am planning on making a deck profile sometime soon. I'm just like really like wishy-washy with my list right now, so I don't want to post it. But I'm still kind of figuring out what I'm going to do with that. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this short little video here where I talk about my top 10, top 5 faves. I don't know why I said top 10. I'm just probably because I've been so used to seeing top 10 lists, but I wanted to keep it to a top 5 list because I feel like that's a bit better to talk about. Let me know what your top 5 cards are from Winds of the Ominous Moon, guys. Would you like me to do a list where I do my top 5 least favorite cards? Because I think I did one of those for one of the other sets. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was a little while ago. But there are probably some cards in this set that I'm probably not too pleased with or not too happy with, maybe artwork wise or ability wise. So let me know if you want to see that video too. And until next time, guys, I will see you all later. This video was made possible thanks to patrons such as Alucard, Craig McCutcheon, and the Carnivalous Waltz.